Have you ever found yourself spreading yourself thin, trying to be everything for everyone, all in the name of kindness? We've all been there. We believe that kindness is an essential virtue, and it's true that being kind to others is one of the most powerful things we can do. But what happens when we extend that kindness indiscriminately to everyone without pause or consideration? Here's the truth. Not everyone deserves your kindness. Let me explain why. Kindness at its core is an act of generosity. It's about extending your energy, your time, and your resources to someone else. But if we're not careful, we can end up overextending ourselves. The more we give, the less we have for ourselves. And ultimately, this creates a cycle of depletion. The first thing we must recognize is boundaries. Being kind is not about saying yes to everything and everyone. It's about being selective, knowing when and where your kindness will make the greatest impact. Just as you wouldn't pour water into a cup that has no bottom, you shouldn't be giving away your energy to those who are not ready to receive it. Setting boundaries is not selfish. It's essential for maintaining your strength and your ability to serve. Secondly, think about quality over quantity. The people who truly need your kindness are the ones who will appreciate it, respect it, and reciprocate it in a meaningful way. Focus on nurturing relationships that are mutual, where kindness flows both ways, not just in one direction. Not everyone in your life needs your attention, and not everyone will value the time and energy you give. Be discerning now, some may argue, but what about being kind to everyone? Doesn't that make us better people? Well, here's the reality. If you're constantly giving without consideration, you're not helping others grow. You might be enabling them to depend on you rather than teaching them how to stand on their own 2 feet. True kindness encourages independence, resilience, and the ability to navigate life's challenges, not just the comfort of having someone constantly available. And here's the kicker. If you're not taking care of yourself, you cannot give. If you're exhausted, overworked, or emotionally drained, your kindness becomes hollow. You won't have the capacity to help others in a way that's meaningful because you're depleted. So the most important thing you can do is to prioritize self-care. Fill your cup first so that when you do extend kindness, it's genuine and impactful. In closing, stop being kind to everyone indiscriminately. Be intentional with your kindness. Give it where it matters most. Cultivate relationships that will elevate you and choose to invest in your well-being. Because when you take care of yourself, you're not just a better person, you're a better resource for everyone else around you. It's easy to think of kindness as something that must be given freely, without limitation. After all, who doesn't want to be the person who is generous with their time, energy, and support? However, when we don't set boundaries around our kindness, we can end up draining ourselves, ultimately being less effective in the relationships that truly matter. The reality is we must be intentional about where and how we distribute our kindness. It's not enough to simply give and give. We need to recognize the importance of boundaries. Setting boundaries is not just about saying a no to others. It's about saying yes to yourself. It's about respecting your own time, your mental health, and your emotional energy. Without boundaries, kindness can quickly become an overwhelming task that leaves you feeling exhausted, frustrated, and unappreciated. You can't serve others effectively when you're running on empty. Boundaries give you the space to recharge, reflect, and focus on the areas of your life that require the most attention. This means that you can continue to be kind, but only in ways that are sustainable for you. When we don't set boundaries, we risk allowing others to take more than we are willing to give. Think about how often people ask for favors, emotional support, or time that you simply don't have to offer. If you don't have clear boundaries, you might feel obligated to say yes to every request, even when it's not in your best interest. Over time, this can lead to resentment. You might feel that your kindness is being taken for granted, or that your time is being undervalued. When you learn to set boundaries, you give yourself permission to say "I know" without guilt. Saying "I know" is not about being unkind. It's about preserving your ability to be kind in the future. Clear boundaries also allow you to prioritize relationships that are truly reciprocal. Not every relationship deserves the same level of attention or effort. Some people in your life will be a constant source of support, encouragement, and love. These are the people who nurture you and help you grow. Other relationships may be more draining, offering little in return. These types of relationships can deplete your energy, and over time you may find yourself neglecting your own needs in favor of others. By establishing boundaries, you create space for the relationships that matter most. You don't have to be kind to everyone, but you should be intentional about where you invest your time and energy. In the workplace, at home, and in social situations, people will constantly ask for your attention. Some of these requests are important, while others may be less urgent. Without boundaries, it's easy to feel obligated to attend to every need and every request. This can lead to a sense of overwhelm and burnout, especially when you feel as though you're constantly being pulled in different directions. Boundaries allow you to be more selective about where you focus your attention. They enable you to make conscious decisions about how to prioritize your time and energy, ensuring that you're contributing in meaningful ways rather than spreading yourself too thin. Setting boundaries also requires a deep understanding of your personal limits. We all have different capacities for work, emotional labor, and social interaction. What may seem manageable to one person might be overwhelming to another. It's important to know yourself well enough to recognize when you've reached your limit. If you're constantly overcommitting or feeling like you're saying yes, or when you mean a no, it's time to reevaluate your boundaries. Ask yourself what's truly important and where your energy is best spent. When you're honest with yourself about your limits, you'll find that your kindness becomes more intentional and meaningful. Another key aspect of boundaries is knowing when to step back from certain situations or relationship. It's not always easy to distance yourself from someone who may be asking too much of you, but it's sometimes necessary for your own well-being. If someone continually oversteps your boundaries or takes advantage of your kindness, it's important to recognize that this behavior is not healthy for you. Kindness is not about tolerating mistreatment or sacrificing your own happiness for the sake of others. Sometimes being kind means having the courage to walk away or to set a firmer boundary in order to protect yourself. At the heart of boundaries is the idea that your time, energy, and emotions are valuable. You can't be kind to others if you're not being kind to yourself first. Boundaries allow you to create a life that reflects your own values, needs, and priorities. By taking the time to establish and maintain these boundaries, you ensure that your kindness has a lasting positive impact, not just on others, but on yourself as well. When you take care of yourself, you're in a better position to offer support, empathy, and love to others without feeling resentful or depleted. Kindness doesn't have to be about giving endlessly. It's about being intentional and thoughtful and recognizing that you can only give as much as you have. It's easy to fall into the trap of believing that being kind to everyone will make us more likable, more appreciated, or even more valuable. After all, kindness is a universally admired quality, and we often think that by extending it to as many people as possible, we're being generous and selfless. But here's an important truth. Quality is far more important than quantity when it comes to relationships and kindness. By focusing on the quality of the relationships we invest in, we begin to understand the true value of kindness and how it should be distributed in a way that serves both us and others. When we give our kindness indiscriminately to everyone, we risk diluting its impact. Instead of creating meaningful connections, we spread ourselves so thin that we're unable to be fully present for those who truly matter. Kindness is a precious resource, and when it's given without thought or consideration, it can feel empty or hollow. Think about it. When you extend kindness to someone who doesn't truly appreciate or reciprocate it, it doesn't feel fulfilling. You might feel drained, frustrated, or even taken for granted. The truth is, not everyone will value your kindness in the same way, and that's okay. We need to focus on cultivating the relationships where our kindness can have the most profound impact. These are the relationships where kindness is nurtured and valued, and where it encourages growth and mutual support. Relationships are built on a foundation of trust, respect, and shared values. If we direct our energy and kindness toward relationships that aren't built on these principles, we can end up investing time and emotional energy in situations that will not yield the positive results we seek. By focusing on quality relationships, we prioritize those who understand and appreciate the effort we put into the connection. These relationships nourish us in return, creating a cycle of kindness, support, and growth that is mutually beneficial. This doesn't mean that we become cold or dismissive toward others, but rather that we become more discerning with where we place our attention. We begin to recognize that not every relationship needs the same level of investment or energy, and that's perfectly acceptable. When we choose to invest in high-quality relationships, we create a foundation for deeper connections. These are the relationships that challenge us to grow, offer us constructive feedback, and share in our successes and failures. A relationship based on quality will feel reciprocal, where kindness is given and received freely, without any expectation of something in return. The more we surround ourselves with these types of people, the more we enrich our lives. When you give your kindness to the right people, the impact is far greater than when you spread it thin across a multitude of superficial connections. As you begin to focus on these meaningful relationships, you'll find that you feel more fulfilled, more energized, and more connected. Kindness, when distributed thoughtfully, helps us build networks of support, growth, and mutual respect. It's not about trying to be everything to everyone, but about being the best version of yourself in the relationships that matter most. By investing time and energy into the people who reciprocate your kindness, you're investing in your own well-being. These people will lift you up, support you, and help you become the best version of yourself. It's not about having a large number of relationships. It's about having the right ones, where kindness can truly make a difference. The idea of focusing on quality over quantity also extends beyond personal relationships into professional ones. Think about the relationships you cultivate at work or in your business ventures. Not every client, colleague, or business partner deserves the same level of attention. It's important to identify which relationships have the potential to grow, prosper, and benefit both parties. By investing in these high-quality relationships, you create a network of people who value your expertise, trust your judgment, and are willing to support you in achieving your goals. These are the people who will help you advance, both professionally and personally, as they become partners in your growth and success. Giving your time and energy to everyone at work, regardless of their potential, will leave you exhausted and prevent you from fostering the relationships that truly matter for your career. Moreover, when we prioritize quality over quantity, we create boundaries that allow us to focus on what truly adds value to our lives. We are no longer distracted by endless demands and superficial connections. Instead, we invest in people who bring out the best in us and who, in turn, challenge us to be better. This doesn't mean we cut off others or become exclusive, but we begin to recognize where our energy is best spent. We begin to understand that not everyone in our circle needs to be the recipient of our kindness in the same way. We can still be kind, but we don't have to offer the same level of emotional, physical, or mental investment to everyone. By focusing on the quality of relationships, we allow ourselves the space to nurture meaningful connections that are genuinely supportive and impactful. And when we do this, kindness becomes a tool for growth and connection, rather than something that leads to burnout and frustration. It's about recognizing where your kindness will make the greatest impact and investing your energy wisely. That way you're not just being kind for the sake of being kind, you're being intentional, thoughtful, and strategic about where and how you distribute your energy. It's often said that we cannot pour from an empty cup, and this statement holds a deep truth when it comes to kindness. If you're constantly giving of yourself without ensuring that you're taken care of first, you will eventually find yourself running on empty. The idea of self-care being essential is often misunderstood. Self-care is not about being selfish or neglecting others. Instead, it's about recognizing that your physical, mental, and emotional well-being is the foundation from which all of your actions and kindness flow. When you make self-care a priority, you ensure that you're in a position to give to others in a way that is sustainable, meaningful, and impactful. To give freely, you need to first take the time to replenish your energy. Just like you wouldn't expect a car to run without fuel, you can't expect yourself to be constantly giving without ensuring that you have the resources to do so. People often feel guilty when they focus on self-care, but the reality is that when you prioritize your own health and happiness, you are in a much better position to contribute positively to the lives of others. By taking care of yourself, you can show up more fully, whether it's in relationships, in your work, or in your personal pursuits. If you're mentally exhausted, physically drained, or emotionally spent, you will struggle to be present, engaged, or effective in your kindness. The first step in recognizing the importance of self-care is understanding that it is not a luxury. It's a necessity. It's easy to get caught up in the demands of daily life, whether it's work, family obligations, or social responsibilities. These external pressures can cause us to overlook our own needs, but neglecting yourself ultimately affects your ability to give to others. Self-care is about setting aside time and space to recharge, whether that means taking a break, engaging in activities that bring you joy, or simply resting. By creating habits that nurture your body and mind, you're better equipped to show up for others when they need you. This also means recognizing the boundaries that are necessary for your well-being. Saying no or stepping back when you're overwhelmed is not a sign of weakness, but an act of self-preservation. When you practice self-care, you give yourself the strength to continue giving. Self-care doesn't have to be extravagant or time-consuming. Sometimes it's the small acts that make the biggest difference. Taking a walk in nature, practicing mindfulness, reading a book, or spending time with people who lift you up. These simple practices help replenish your energy and restore your sense of balance. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that if you're not constantly working or helping others, you're being lazy or unproductive. But true productivity comes from a place of balance, not depletion. When you're well rested, emotionally grounded, and mentally sharp, your kindness flows more naturally, and it has a deeper, more lasting impact. You don't just give because you feel obligated. You give because you are able and ready to do so. Prioritizing self-care ensures that your kindness isn't something that leaves you feeling burnt out, but instead is an authentic extension of who you are. In the same way that you need to recharge physically and emotionally, you also need to engage in activities that nourish your mind. This means feeding your curiosity, seeking growth, and finding joy in learning and personal development. If your mind is stagnant, so too will be your kindness. When you prioritize your own intellectual well-being, you're able to engage in deeper, more meaningful connections with others. You can offer advice, support, and encouragement from a place of wisdom and understanding, not from a place of exhaustion or mental fog. By fostering your own growth, you become a better resource for those around you, and your kindness becomes more insightful and impactful. Another important aspect of self-care is understanding your limitations. Everyone has a different capacity for how much they can give emotionally, physically, and mentally. Recognizing your own limits allows you to give what you can without overextending yourself. If you constantly push beyond your limits, you will eventually burn out. This burnout leads to frustration, resentment, and burnout, which can make your kindness feel like a chore rather than a genuine desire to help. Understanding your limitations allows you to be more intentional with where you place your energy. When you know when to say a no and when to take a step back, you can create healthier, more sustainable relationships. You can still be kind, but you don't need to sacrifice your well-being in the process by nurturing yourself. Emotionally, physically, mentally, and spiritually, you create a cycle of positivity and growth. When you are in a place of balance, your kindness becomes more impactful, more meaningful, and more sustainable. Self-care is not a selfish act. It is a necessary investment in yourself that enables you to give your best to others. By taking the time to care for your own needs, you are in a better position to care for those around you in a way that is authentic, thoughtful, and impactful. In the end, it's about finding balance, recognizing that your well-being is the foundation from which all of your kindness flows. When you take care of yourself, you not only benefit personally, but you also create the opportunity to make a lasting, positive difference in the lives of others. Kindness is one of the most beautiful and powerful human qualities we can offer to others. However, it's important to realize that being kind doesn't mean enabling others to stay stagnant or avoid growth. Sometimes when we are too kind or overly generous, we can unintentionally prevent others from facing challenges or learning from their mistakes. Kindness in these cases can become a crutch, making people dependent on you instead of encouraging them to find their own way. It's natural to want to help others, to make their lives easier or to ease their pain. By being clear about your boundaries, you're creating an environment where your kindness is intentional and not driven by people-pleasing or obligation. Offering kindness without purpose can lead to burnout, resentment, and emotional exhaustion. While purposeful kindness ensures that your efforts are sustainable and meaningful, not only for others but also for yourself. Ultimately, kindness with purpose isn't about being perfect or always making the right choice. It's about making decisions that are aligned with both your values and the needs of others. It's about making sure that your actions contribute to the long-term well-being of the people around you, while also considering your own well-being. Kindness should never be a transaction. It should be a gift that is given freely, but with thought, with awareness, and with the intention of creating positive change. When you are intentional with your kindness, you elevate not only others, but yourself too, creating a more meaningful and fulfilling life. Purposeful kindness allows you to take a step back and ask, how can I serve this person in the most impactful way? Rather than simply reacting to every situation or request for help. When you operate with purpose, your kindness becomes a catalyst for growth, both for yourself and the people you interact with. By thinking beyond the immediate moment and considering the larger impact of your actions, you ensure that your kindness is not fleeting, but lasting, and that it aligns with your values and long-term goals. This shift in mindset allows you to become more strategic in how you offer your support, making your kindness more effective, sustainable, and fulfilling. At the heart of true kindness is the idea of valuing your own time and energy. We often feel compelled to be kind to everyone, and in doing so, we forget that our time, effort, and emotional energy are finite resources. It's easy to overcommit ourselves, to say yes when we want to say a no, simply because we want to help or avoid disappointing others. But in doing so, we run the risk of draining ourselves, neglecting our own needs, and ultimately being unable to offer meaningful support to anyone. By recognizing that your resources are limited, you begin to understand that your time and energy are precious, and they should be spent wisely on those who truly appreciate and value your kindness. When you overextend yourself and say yes to every request for help, you may feel good in the short term because you're being kind and helpful, but over time, this behavior can lead to burnout, resentment, and frustration. When your energy is constantly being depleted, you lose the ability to be present, engaged, and effective in your relationships and interactions. Instead of giving from a place of abundance, you begin giving from a place of scarcity, and your kindness loses its impact. In order to be truly kind, you must first acknowledge that you can't help everyone all the time. Your kindness has to be directed toward those who truly need it and who will reciprocate in a meaningful way. By valuing your own time and energy, you learn to set boundaries. Boundaries are essential to maintaining your well-being and ensuring that your kindness remains sustainable. Boundaries allow you to protect your own needs while still being able to offer support and care to others. When you set healthy boundaries, you communicate to others that while you are available and willing to help, you also have limits. These boundaries help to ensure that you don't overcommit yourself or allow others to take advantage of your time and energy. They allow you to balance your kindness with self-care so that you can give your best without sacrificing your own needs in the process. Recognizing the importance of your own time and energy also means understanding that you can't pour from an empty cup. Self-care isn't selfish. It's a necessary part of being able to give to others. When you prioritize your own well-being, you ensure that you are in a position to offer your best self to those who truly need your help. This may mean saying no to certain requests or stepping back from relationships that are draining. It may involve taking time for yourself to rest, recharge, and reflect so that you can show up more fully when you do engage with others. Furthermore, valuing your time and energy means being mindful of how and where you invest them. It's about being intentional with your actions and making sure that your kindness is directed toward people who will truly benefit from it. This doesn't mean you should stop being kind to others. It means you need to prioritize your efforts. Instead of spreading yourself too thin by offering kindness to everyone, you focus your energy on the relationships and situations that will have the most positive impact. This may involve spending more time with those who support you, engaging in activities that align with your values, or offering help to those who genuinely need it and will use it to grow. When you learn to value your own time and energy, you start to recognize that your kindness should be a tool for creating positive change, not a means of pleasing others or avoiding conflict. You no longer give out of obligation or guilt. Instead, you give from a place of purpose and intentionality. Your kindness becomes more meaningful as it is based on thoughtful decision-making and a clear understanding of how your actions will impact both yourself and others. This shift in mindset allows you to give in a way that is sustainable, fulfilling, and ultimately more impactful as you begin to set boundaries and value your time. You also start to recognize the importance of choosing who you give your time and energy to. It's important to understand that not every person or situation deserves your kindness. Some people will take and take without ever offering anything in return, while others will value and appreciate your efforts. By being selective about where you invest your kindness, you ensure that your efforts go to those who will reciprocate and appreciate your support. This doesn't mean being cold or dismissive toward others. It means being discerning and understanding that not everyone is deserving of your energy. It's also essential to realize that your kindness is not a commodity to be given freely to anyone who asks for it. People often take kindness for granted or expect it without giving anything back and lead to imbalance and resentment. When you value your own time and energy, you start to understand that your kindness is a gift, and that it should be offered with purpose and intention. You're not obligated to be kind to everyone, and you should never feel guilty for setting boundaries or walking away from relationships that drain you. The more you recognize the value of your time, the more you will understand that your kindness should be used as a tool for fostering positive, supportive relationships rather than as a way to please everyone around you. Learning to value your own time and energy is a key step in achieving personal fulfillment and maintaining balance in your life. It allows you to be more intentional with your kindness, focusing on relationships and actions that bring you joy, growth, and connection. When you begin to give from a place of abundance rather than depletion, your kindness becomes more authentic, more sustainable, and more impactful. By setting boundaries, prioritizing self-care, and being mindful of where you invest your energy, you ensure that your kindness remains a source of strength, not a cause of burnout. The concept of prioritizing your own well-being is often viewed as self-centered or selfish in society, but in reality, it is one of the most important things you can do for both yourself and others. When you take the time to prioritize your own needs, whether physical, emotional, or mental, you are better equipped to show up in a way that is authentic, supportive, and effective for the people around you. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that kindness requires you to give endlessly, but without taking care of yourself, your ability to give diminishes over time. You become a shell of your former self, running on empty, offering kindness that feels forced, and ultimately resenting the effort. This leads to burnout and frustration, which is the opposite of true kindness. When you focus on your own well-being, you are not only ensuring that you have the energy and resources to help others, but you are also sending a powerful message to those around you about the importance of self-care. People who see you prioritizing your own needs may be inspired to do the same for themselves. By leading by example, you demonstrate that self-care is not a luxury, but a necessity for living a fulfilling, sustainable life. It's not about being self-centered. It's about recognizing that in order to be there for others, you must first be there for yourself. If you are running on empty, your kindness is no longer coming from a place of abundance, and you are unable to offer your best to the people who need you. Prioritizing your own well-being means setting boundaries, knowing when to say no, and recognizing when you need rest. It means taking time for activities that bring you joy, engaging in practices that replenish your energy, and recognizing the signs of stress or fatigue before they overwhelm you. Self-care can look different for everyone. It might involve physical activities like exercise, mental activities like reading or meditation, or emotional activities like spending time with loved ones. The important thing is that you are actively taking steps to preserve and nurture your own health so that you can show up for others in a meaningful, positive way. When you fail to prioritize your own well-being, you risk becoming a doormat for others, constantly giving without ever replenishing yourself. This creates a cycle of resentment and exhaustion that not only harms your mental health, but also diminishes the quality of kindness you're offering. Another key aspect of prioritizing your well-being is being mindful of your emotional health. It's easy to get caught up in the emotions of others, to take on their stress, anxiety, or problems as your own. While it's natural to feel empathy for others, it's important to recognize that you cannot fix everyone's problems. Sometimes being kind means letting others carry their own burdens or learn their own lessons. By constantly taking on the emotional weight of those around you, you risk neglecting your own emotional health, leading to emotional burnout. In order to be truly kind, you need to understand that you cannot take on the world's problems. Your job is to offer support, not to be the emotional crutch for everyone you meet. In order to prioritize your emotional health, it's essential to recognize the difference between empathy and emotional exhaustion. You can empathize with someone's struggles and offer support without absorbing their pain or becoming overwhelmed by their challenges. Being kind doesn't mean taking on every person's burden. It means offering help in a way that is supportive without draining your own emotional reserves. Setting emotional boundaries is just as important as setting physical or mental ones. Recognize when you need to step back, take a break, or detach from situations that are too emotionally taxing. By doing so, you preserve your emotional energy, allowing you to be more present and engaged when you do offer kindness. In the same way that physical and emotional well-being need attention, mental well-being plays an important role in being able to be truly kind to others. The state of your mind directly impacts how you interact with others, how you view the world, and how effectively you can offer support. If your mind is constantly cluttered, overwhelmed, or anxious, it can be difficult to offer thoughtful, meaningful kindness. You might act impulsively, say things you don't mean, or offer help out of guilt instead of genuine care. This is why it's so important to take care of your mental health by finding ways to clear your mind, reduce stress, and engage in practices that help you maintain clarity and focus. Taking care of your mental well-being could mean different things for different people. It might involve mindfulness practices such as meditation or deep breathing exercises, or it could mean seeking professional help when needed. Talking to a therapist, counselor, or mentor can be invaluable in maintaining your mental health, especially when you are navigating difficult emotions or challenging situations. Another important aspect of mental well-being is the need for space and time to process your own thoughts and feelings. Constantly being on and engaging with others without taking a step back to reflect can lead to mental fatigue. By taking the time to care for your mental health, you create a foundation of mental clarity, which enables you to be present, mindful, and thoughtful in your kindness toward others. The key to being truly kind lies in recognizing that your kindness must be grounded in your own well-being. Without this foundation, your acts of kindness will be unsustainable, ineffective, and ultimately unsatisfying for both you and the recipient. When you prioritize your own health, physically, emotionally, and mentally, you ensure that your kindness is coming from a place of genuine care and not from a place of obligation, exhaustion, or guilt. Your kindness becomes an act of empowerment, both for you and for others. By taking care of yourself, you are able to give more freely, more meaningfully, and in a way that contributes to your long-term well-being and happiness. It's about finding balance, knowing when to give and when to step back, and recognizing that true kindness is only possible when you're in a position to give from a place of abundance, not depletion. One of the most crucial aspects of true kindness is being selective about who you offer your energy and support to. This doesn't mean being harsh or dismissive toward people. Rather, it's about recognizing that your time and emotional resources are finite. Every time you offer your support, your kindness, your care, you are giving something of yourself. And just like any other resource, this can be depleted if you're not careful about how you manage it. Being kind to everyone at all times might sound admirable in theory, but in practice it can lead to emotional exhaustion, resentment, and burnout when you offer your kindness too freely, without discerning the worthiness of the recipient or the long-term impact of your actions. You risk becoming overwhelmed and drained. It's important to evaluate not only the immediate need, but also whether that person truly values your help or is using you as a temporary solution. Kindness shouldn't be a transaction, but it should be an exchange that leaves both parties feeling respected, valued, and cared for. It should not come at the cost of your own well-being. Offering your energy and kindness to people who consistently take and don't reciprocate can create a toxic dynamic where you end up feeling more used than appreciated. Being selective doesn't mean closing yourself off from helping others. It simply means being mindful and discerning in your actions. It's about ensuring that the people you offer kindness to are those who genuinely need it, are willing to receive it with gratitude, and are capable of using it in a way that contributes to their growth or well-being. When you prioritize quality over quantity in your relationships, you create more meaningful connections, which can be far more fulfilling than constantly spreading yourself too thin. The goal isn't to become cold or distant, but to be intentional about where and to whom you direct your kindness, ensuring that it remains genuine and impactful. This selectivity also applies to recognizing when your help will do more harm than good. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for someone is to let them face their own struggles or allow them to take responsibility for their actions. While it's tempting to jump in and help when you see someone struggling, it's important to recognize that not every challenge requires immediate intervention. Often, people grow the most through overcoming difficulties themselves. By constantly stepping in to ease their burdens, you might inadvertently prevent them from learning valuable lessons or developing the resilience they need for future challenges. In such cases, true kindness is about offering support in ways that encourage growth and self-sufficiency rather than rescuing them from their problems. Being selective also means knowing when to step back and protect your own well-being. If you are constantly helping others at the expense of your own mental, emotional, and physical health, you will eventually burn out. This is where setting boundaries becomes essential. Boundaries are not about shutting people out or being unkind. They are about protecting your time, your energy, and your emotional well-being so that you can be more present and effective in the support you do offer. It's important to understand that saying no is not a sign of weakness or unkindness, but rather a sign of strength and self-awareness. By setting boundaries, you allow yourself to recharge and be in a better place to help others when it truly matters. In the same vein, prioritizing your well-being over others' constant demands is not about being selfish, but about ensuring that your capacity for kindness remains strong and sustainable. When you continually give without taking time to care for yourself, your kindness becomes empty. You may give out of obligation rather than genuine care, which dilutes the quality of your interactions and the impact of your actions. Prioritizing your well-being ensures that when you offer kindness, it is coming from a place of authenticity and abundance, not from exhaustion or resentment. Furthermore, this selectivity in who you offer your kindness to also ties into your long-term vision and personal growth. True kindness is often a reflection of who you are as a person, and it should align with your values and long-term goals. Offering kindness should be intentional, helping you stay aligned with your own growth and personal journey. It's important to reflect on whether the people you are helping are supporting your growth as well. Relationships that drain you emotionally without giving back can stifle your own progress. Being selective ensures that you focus on relationships and situations that nourish you, enabling you to grow alongside others. The right relationships are those that uplift, challenge, and inspire you to be the best version of yourself. In addition, when you offer kindness with discernment, you also set an example for others about the importance of boundaries and the need to protect one's energy. People often look to those they admire to guide them in their own lives. When you model the importance of taking care of yourself and being mindful about where you direct your energy, you encourage others to do the same. This creates a ripple effect where self-care and selective kindness become a norm, promoting healthier, more balanced relationships. It teaches others that it's okay to prioritize their well-being and that they don't have to sacrifice themselves for the sake of others. Lastly, selective kindness allows you to engage in deeper, more authentic relationships. When you are more discerning about where you direct your energy, you create space for relationships that are built on mutual respect, trust, and understanding. You aren't just superficially helping people because it's expected. You're investing in relationships that will last and grow. The more you focus your kindness on those who genuinely value it, the more you deepen the connection, creating a meaningful bond that will be far more fulfilling than spreading yourself too thin. By being selective in where you invest your kindness, you ensure that it remains powerful, purposeful, and sustainable. You protect your own energy, foster meaningful relationships, and contribute to the growth of others in ways that truly matter. This approach leads to a more balanced, fulfilling life, where your acts of kindness are not only appreciated, but also serve a greater purpose in the world around you.